I still remember the first time I saw Sarah. It was 24 years ago, in the back room of a greasy diner off I-40 where she worked nights waiting tables. I was a truck driver delivering frozen meats. She had her hair tied up, apron stained, her face flushed from dodging sleazy customers and carrying trays bigger than her. But when she smiled at me, the whole room got quiet. I swear, it was like someone turned the world down just so I could hear her say, "Need a refill? Cowboy." She didn't care that I drove a rusted 18-wheeler or that I sometimes slept in the cab to save motel money. I was just Danny, the guy who brought her cherry pie on night runs and waited for her outside until closing. We'd sit on the curb sharing pie and stupid dreams, hers about marketing and travel, mine about starting a small freight business. And then we'd laugh, because neither of us had a dime to our names, but we built our life, paycheck by paycheck. One used couch, 2 second-hand wedding rings, 3 failed apartments before we could finally afford a house. I worked long hauls. She got her business degree at night. When she landed a decent job in a mid-tier firm, we celebrated with gas station wine and cheap steak. She said she couldn't have done it without me. I believed her. That woman, the one in the apron with big dreams and bigger heart, she's not the one who lives in our house anymore. Sarah got promoted again last month. Marketing director for one of the biggest tech-adjacent logistics chains in the Southwest. It was a big deal, and I was proud, until she started making excuses not to introduce me at work events. Suddenly, my shirts weren't right. My accent was too strong. The stories I told were a bit much for these crowds. Then came the party. "We're doing it at Langford Club," she said casually, stirring her coffee like she didn't just drop a bomb. "Very upscale. It's not really your scene, Danny, but of course I want you there." I stared at her over my eggs. "Not really my scene?" I asked. "You know what I mean," she said quickly. "Just, maybe don't wear your denim jacket or boots, and try not to talk too much." It hit me like an air brake snap. Not "I'm excited to have you there," not "you've always supported me, and I want to show you off." Just rules, appearances, don't be you. I swallowed it down like I always did. I nodded, even smiled, but inside something cracked. It wasn't about clothes or jokes. It was about her shame. Shame for the man who held her hand when we couldn't afford heating, who pawned his guitar to help pay her tuition. She forgot who paid for the fuel that got her here that night, while she texted her new boss and picked out cocktail dresses. I opened a file on my laptop I hadn't touched in years. The LMC file. The holding company I built slowly, quietly, behind the scenes with every dime I saved, every connection I made hauling for companies too lazy to look beyond my calloused hands. Most thought I was just a driver, and that's how I liked it. Until now. If she wanted high society, fine, but she'd know exactly who she was married to. Not just the trucker with worn boots and dirty fingernails, but Daniel Carter, owner of LMC Holdings, and the silent majority shareholder of the very company she just got promoted in. The Langford Club looked like something out of a magazine ad for people who wear suits to the gym. White pillars, black tie valets, strings of imported lights crisscrossing a courtyard filled with art nobody understood. I pulled up in my Ram 3500. Not new, not shiny, but clean. A valet gave me a look like I'd parked a dumpster at a wedding. I handed him the keys without a word and walked through those glass doors like I belonged there. Inside, it smelled like expensive perfume, polished wood, and ego. The kind of place where everyone spoke in rehearsed laughter and small talk sharpened like knives. I spotted Sarah across the room, laughing with a man I recognized from company photos. Her boss, Randall Shaw, sleek haircut, fake charm, and a Rolex that probably cost more than our first house. She didn't see me at first. I stood by the bar nursing a soda, not because I don't drink, but because I wanted every cent sharp. I scanned the room, executives in tailored suits, women in shimmering dresses, and me, the burden in boots too dusty for their marble floors. Then the mic came on. Randall took the stage and raised a glass. "Tonight," he said with that smug confidence rich men seem to be born with, "we celebrate one of our brightest stars. A woman who has risen above limitations and proved that talent shines through, even when the odds are stacked against you." Some light laughter. He looked towards Sarah. Despite the challenges at home, she never let anything stop her. Sarah smiled. She didn't even flinch, not a single glance in my direction. Then Randall added, with a chuckle, I mean, come on, a truck driver husband? And she still made it. This time, the laughter swelled. I froze. Not in anger, in grief, because I realized something I hadn't let myself admit. She didn't defend me. She didn't stop him. She didn't even look uncomfortable. Then it got worse. Randall handed her the mic, and she glided onto the stage like it was hers by birthright. I don't even know what to say, she began. Except, thank you. Thank you for seeing me, for believing I could go far, even when I was held back. People laughed again. She laughed. I mean, look. Not everyone has the luxury of a perfect launchpad, she added, eyes glancing over the crowd. Some of us start with very little. Some of us have partners who don't really get this world, but we rise anyway, right? The applause was loud. The spotlight shone on her, and I stood in the back of the room like a relic no one remembered putting there. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even embarrassed. I was done shrinking myself, done letting her rewrite the story we built together just to impress people who'd never survive a week on the road. Randall made his way toward me after the speech, drink in hand, smiling like we were old friends. You know, he said, placing a hand on my shoulder, some people just outgrow where they came from, and that's okay. You should be proud of her. I am, I said quietly. He nodded, probably thinking he'd just patted the family dog. Then I asked, Randall, you know who owns your company? He blinked. Well, shareholders, upper brass, LMC Holdings, mostly. Why? I smiled. Good to know. I watched the blood drain from his face. He tried to laugh, but I could see the wheels turning. I think you should sit down, I said. There's something I'd like to say. Then I stepped toward the stage, not as the silent husband, but as the man who signed their paychecks. The mic was still warm from Sarah's hand when I took it. The applause from her speech was fading, but the energy in the room hadn't settled. People were still smiling until they saw me. I didn't rush. I stood center stage in my plain black jacket. No tie, no script, just the truth. Evening, I said into the mic. My voice echoed clean off the marble walls. My name is Daniel Carter. Some of you might know me better as Danny, the trucker. A couple chuckles. Nervous ones. Randall didn't move. Sarah was frozen beside him, the color draining fast. I've been a long-haul driver most of my life. Built a little company out of a beat-up semi and a whole lot of missed birthdays. Some called it luck. Some said I got lucky with timing. But the truth is, it was just work, real work. Miles and sweat and sacrifice. I paused. What many don't know, I continued, is that I used that company to build another, and another, until one day, that quiet little logistics firm called LMC Holdings had its fingers in a lot of places. I looked right at Randall. About 4 years ago, LMC acquired the majority stake in Cinecore Marketing and its subsidiaries. Randall's mouth parted slightly. I never told Sarah, I said gently, because I never wanted her to love me for that. I thought what we had didn't need titles or balance sheets. I thought being her husband, the truck driver who brought her cherry pie at 2 a.m., was enough. Silence now, total. But tonight, I was reminded that in certain rooms, being humble is a dirty word. Being working class is something to be ashamed of. And being married to a man like me. I turned to Sarah. Well, apparently that's a burden. Her lips parted, but she said nothing. I'm not here to embarrass anyone, I said, scanning the crowd. But I won't stand by while my story is rewritten by people who forgot how we got here. I didn't hold anyone back. I carried, I lifted, I bled. I looked down at my hands. These hands built something. And tonight, I remember why. I set the mic down gently. The applause started small, a clap from the back of the room, then another, and another, until the whole ballroom stood. But I didn't wait for it. I walked off stage, straight out the doors, and into the cold night. Sarah didn't follow. She didn't text that night, or the next, when she finally did. Her message read, "You could have warned me." I replied, "You could have remembered me. We didn't have kids, just yours." So I took what was mine, left what wasn't, and filed the papers 2 days later. No drama, no revenge. Just closure. Now I spend my time checking in on the people who never get a microphone. The drivers, warehouse crews, the single moms in accounting. I fund scholarships for kids who can't afford the right clothes for parties like that. Last week, a kid named Eli, son of a trucker, asked me how I did it. I told him, never apologize for where you come from. Just make sure they remember where you're going. And every night, in the cabin I built with my own hands, I raise a glass to a photo of my old man, a man with calloused hands, a man the world underestimated, just like they underestimated me, but the road remembers. And so do I.